So I've been a product designer pretty much my whole life. That's a lie. Wow. I have been a product designer since I graduated university. Hello, welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria and I am a product designer. So as you all know, I made a note to make more career-focused content on my channel in 2022 and 2023. And so that's why I'm here. But I also noticed that on YouTube, there can be a lot of content geared towards how to get a job as a product designer, what to do, and I think that's very valuable, but I don't often see kind of information about what to do when you actually get to the job. Once you've landed your first gig, what do you do? How do you become successful? So I thought I'd make a video about that and talking about a few things that were really impactful for me. And you might be asking, what gives you the right to tell me what to do once I get my first job? As someone who started a few roles now, I've had a couple of jobs where obviously I was new, and as a mid-level product designer, I've been junior before that. So I just remember feeling a bit lost for the first couple months, especially if you don't have a mentor or an advocate or a sponsor right there with you as to like what to do and how to set yourself up for success. So that's essentially why I'm making this video. I have been at Spotify for a little over 2 years now, and within those 2 years I've managed to be promoted twice. So I think I know a little bit about advancing in your career and moving really from junior to mid-level. So that's what this conversation is going to be about. You are a junior product designer, now what, essentially? And I really wanted to make sure that this content was remote worker friendly. A lot of people are moving toward doing more remote work or are doing a hybrid model. It can be hard, especially as a junior or as an associate designer, to really feel like you're making an impact. Because if you're not, in the same room, how can you make sure that your presence is known and your work is being recognized? So I wanted to make sure that this work was remote worker friendly and basically a guide for your first month. So yeah, that's what this video is going to be about, how to make the most of your first month as a junior product designer. So stick around and I hope that you find this content useful. So without further ado, here are 5 ways to make the most of your first month as a junior product designer. So the first thing you want to do when you first start at any job is to think about your development goals and what they're going to be. Most jobs will have a review cycle where they'll go over your year or they'll go over your 6 months and kind of go over with you whether or not you feel like you're on track to meeting some of the goals that you set at the beginning. So the first thing you want to do before you really kind of dig into any actual work is think about what you want to get out of this role. If you feel like you're going to be here for years and years and years, how do you want to grow as a designer? This is going to tie into a lot of the other tips that I'm going to be talking about, but the first thing you really want to do is think about some of your goals. Some people like SMART goals, some people don't, some people just like tactical goals that you can really see the results of, but either way, understand what are the things you want to do and understand how you can communicate them so that people can keep you accountable and also you can keep yourself accountable. Sometimes it's helpful to kind of write out in the beginning of the week the tasks that you are going to be doing, and so keeping that as well gives you a record of all the work you've done. So no one can kind of say, what have you been doing? That work is always there and available for you. So yeah, that's the first tip. Start thinking about your development goals. Usually there's some kind of career framework that you have for designers at the company, if it's a big enough company. Sometimes smaller companies might not, but I think that could also be a potential opportunity for you as a junior designer to help inform how junior designers should be performing and what benchmarks they should be meeting. But we have those at Spotify, and so there are limits and there are specific things that associate designers should be able to do before they can move on to being mid-level, and things that mid-level designers should be able to do before they move into being seniors. So figure out what that's going to be and try to measure yourself and benchmark against that. The second thing to do to make the most of your first month as a junior product designer is start scheduling one-on-ones and coffee chats with the other designers on your team, as well as other cross-functional roles. So people that are not designers, but people that you're going to be working with day to day anyway. So at Spotify, we usually have your first week or 2 weeks, you're just onboarding anyway. You're not actually doing a whole lot of work. Onboarding can be a lot of reading, a lot of documentation, and a lot of going through decks. So why not break up some of that time by scheduling one-on-ones and catching up with the people on your team? It's a great way to get to know them, talk about stuff outside of work, and also if you're remote, this is going to be a great way to break the ice and build up more of a personal connection with the people on your team. So I highly, highly recommend setting up one-on-ones, virtual coffee chats. If you are in person, definitely do this in person as well. Just anything to build that connection and understand a little bit more how the people that you're working with who are not designers, how they work with design and how they facilitate work and how design, what do they think about how designers work? And it's good to get into their brain a little bit because you can also measure your working style against their kind of common conception of how designers also work. You've probably already met your manager and have set up recurring one-on-ones with them, but meeting with your wider team is a great way to be more visible and build visibility within your team, and also get a sense of community, because if you're not working with them in an office, it can be kind of hard to build that community virtually. You never know, you might meet your new mentor who may or may not be a designer, or learn about a future opportunity to collaborate that you might not have known otherwise. That's the second thing, is just meet up with people on your team and grab coffee with them and get to know them a little bit. The third thing you should do during your first month as a product designer is to ask lots of questions. So just take advantage of your newness, because no one expects you to know everything. So take this as a time to really dig deep and ask a lot of questions. I heard someone say this on TikTok, but in a meeting, if you want to have your presence known, but you don't have anything to contribute, ask questions. So this is a great way to not only get visibility, but also learn more about the team, the projects, and the strategy behind the things you're going to be working on. And an important caveat to this, though, is try to ask questions that are not easily Googleable, things that are specific to your team, your company, your tribe, like whatever it is that you're working on. Because if you're asking questions that you can easily get the answers to on Google, it can be seen as you not taking initiative. So definitely, if it's more design terminology or technical terms, you can probably find that on Google or maybe on my channel, we'll see. But if it's things that are more specific to your company, definitely by all means ask away and ask those questions as well. The fourth thing you want to do during your first month as a product designer is to start looking for a design career mentor or sponsor to advocate for you. I would personally suggest finding someone who is outside of your direct team and someone who's not looking into, or having someone who doesn't have insight into the things that you do day to day. But having a mentor and someone to advocate for you is a great way to kickstart your professional development. Mentors are there to keep you accountable. They're also there to understand you and understand the ways that you work, and seeing how what their expertise and knowledge, how that can help you grow and challenge you. So they're there to help you grow. They're there to help your professional development. A mentor is there to help you make connections and help you identify ways that you can grow that you might not have thought about on your own. So find a mentor and a sponsor. Sponsors are a little bit different. I won't get into that in this conversation, but sponsors are primarily there to advocate for your professional development. So these are people that are also not working directly with you, but understand your goals and understand how they can help you get there, whether it's introductions to the right people or identifying opportunities on other teams, if that's something that you're interested in as well. So those are the two things you have to do. Find a mentor to challenge you and help you reach your goals, and find a sponsor to advocate for you. And this is especially important as people of color and as women of color, because we really, really need people on our side when it comes to growth in our careers. And the last thing you should do during your first month as a junior product designer is start thinking about what your focus area or your T will be as a product designer. So there are lots of focus areas in the field of design, as you very well know, but not every designer knows everything about every focus areas. Usually you'll be a T-shaped designer where you'll have a breadth of knowledge in a lot of the different focus areas, but you will be concentrated on one focus area. So that could be interaction design, motion design, UI design. There are just a lot of different ones that you can do. My specific focus area is strategic design and design strategy. And so understanding and putting things together to put into place more tactical UX. I work a lot in the beginning of the design process. So figure out what excites you about design. Use your first month to get an insight into what it is that your company really focuses on. If you are hired for a specific skill that you have, by all means go forward with that skill. But if you are hired more as a general UX person, think about what the skills are that you want to build and start putting into place conversations with your manager on how you can build those skills. If you know that you want to be a designer focused on micro interactions, start picking up some small projects that highlight that. If you know that you want to be a designer focused on prototyping, start making all the prototypes on your team. So start thinking about what excites you and start putting yourself in the way of those opportunities. I think at Spotify, we have an 80-20 rule. 80% of our time is focused on specific team-focused work. And then 20% of that is focused on how we want to enrich the design community at Spotify. And so that doesn't always mean tactical design work. Sometimes it means community building, and sometimes it means spending some time on smaller projects that might not be related to specifically your team, but that is related to enriching Spotify's design culture overall. So there might be opportunities at your company for you to build some of those skills that interest you. And they might not be specifically on your team, but again, it's building visibility and it's building your skill set as well. So in conclusion, these are just a few tips to help guide your first month as a product designer. This is not an expansive list by any means, and I would love to hear in the comments what are some other things that you think you should do during your first month. And even though this is geared towards junior designers, this advice, I think, could really benefit designers at any level. This is something that I would do. All 5 of these things are things I would do whenever I started a job at any company and at any level. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know down below if I missed anything, if there's anything you think you would like to add. Is there anything that you think should be on this list? Is there anything that you think shouldn't be on this list? Please feel free to let me know. I look forward to the conversation in the comments, and thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.